we send a simple, clear message to the establishment in Washington.
The American people have spoken.
You've awakened a sleeping giant.
We're tired of what's been going on down there.
This election has been a referendum on the federal government that talks too much.
All right, with the Democrats and the administration roundly rejected by the American people, President Obama stepped forward today, trumpeting a strange new message: bipartisanship.
As I've said before, no person, no party has a monopoly on wisdom. And that's why I'm eager to hear good ideas wherever they come from, whoever proposes them. And that's why I believe it's important to have an honest and civil debate about the choices that we face.
Now, when the Anointed One was trying to ram the stimulus bill through Congress, he was bipartisan enough to accuse Republicans of making, quote, tired arguments, and bipartisan streak, well, that continued when he said the GOP was promoting the false theories of the past. But now that the Democrats have drawn the short stick, he's all for bipartisanship. Now, Mr. President, I don't think the Republicans are that stupid. Right after the president extended that hand of, quote, friendship, he tried to disown his entire agenda.
With all that stuff coming at folks fast and furious, a recovery package, what we had to do with respect to the banks, what we had to do with respect to the auto companies, I think people started looking at all this, and it felt as if government was getting much more intrusive into people's lives than they were accustomed to. But I think it's understandable that folks said to themselves, you know, maybe this is the agenda as opposed to a response to an emergency.
All right, so did you get all that? All those measures, the bailouts, the stimulus, heck, maybe even the health care bill, you know what? Those weren't part of any ideological agenda. Now that the voters have rejected all of them, of course. As for the Anointed One's promise to bring change to D.C., well, he tried to weasel out of that one also.
We were in such a hurry to get things done that we didn't change how things got done. And I think that frustrated people. And I think, you know, folks look at that and they said, gosh, this feels like the same partisan squabbling. This seems like the same ways of doing business as happened before.
You see, it just seems like the same partisan squabbling. Mr. President, like the Republicans and the American people, they're not as stupid as you may think they are. And joining me now with a reaction to the president's appearance earlier today, getting a good laugh, and his interesting arguments, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Good to see you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yes, Sean.
You enjoying that?
I'm enjoying it because he didn't say the one thing that is the clear message of this election. They rejected his policies.
Mm-hmm. It really is a massive rejection, a repudiation.
This was not about touchy-feely, he went a little too far, or he didn't explain it right. They took a good look at Obamacare, which was supposed to be more popular now than when it was passed. It's less popular now than when it was passed. And they said, we don't want Obamacare. I appeared in, I don't know, 47 different elections in 17 different states. When I talked about Obamacare, people would jump up out of their seats, yelling, screaming. I mean, people don't like this. I could have told them that before he passed it. It's the reason that Bill Clinton ended up with a Republican Congress in 1994, because he tried to do Hillary care. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't seem to get it. He doesn't understand it.
Is he tone deaf? Because I agree with your analysis. This was a total repudiation of the president. Do you think he gets it based on what you heard him say today?
No, it sounds like he thinks it's the economy and things are really bad. He didn't explain it right, and he's going to explain to us just why, you know, we should have Obamacare, and it really isn't government takeover. Well, what about cap and trade? Cap and trade would create 20,000 more federal employees. You'd have to build 8 buildings for them in Washington. Yeah. And then they would determine what the emissions on this building would be, and some other building, and another building. You know how many, anybody ever, I once sat down with the cap and trade bill and tried to figure out how many employees they would need in Washington.
Hey, Joe Manchin.
20,000 employees to enforce cap and trade. They're going to put a cap on everything that exists in this country.
Manchin fired a bullet through the cap and trade bill and then ran as far away from the president as he can get.
And he doesn't get the idea that the Democrats that won ran away from him. You see, it's like, stay away from me. I want nothing to do with your agenda.
See, this now raises the question, you know, in terms of the Republicans, because they were elected to repeal Obamacare, I think.
They were.
They were elected to stop spending.
You got it.
Cut taxes.
You got it.
Okay, so
they better
Democrats are saying they better do it. Democrats are thinking, okay, and the president's suggesting, well, now we can have bipartisanship. Doesn't he have to move in that direction?
I believe this election was noteworthy not only for the historic quantity of Republicans that got elected, about the greatest ever, but this was about as clear an ideological message as you could send. The American people said, repeal Obamacare and replace it. They said, cut spending and cut taxes. And if we don't fight for that, we're not going to be around 2 years from now. So, now, we can, if we're going to have to compromise, there's got to be on other things.
Do you envision President Obama ever go before the American people saying the era of big government is over? I'm willing to sit down and talk about...
Well, that's what Bill Clinton did. But it took Bill Clinton about 6 months to figure that out.
Do you think he will?
He doesn't have 6 months to figure it out. Things are worse than Bill Clinton. This is a much bigger victory than the one against Bill Clinton. This is much more of a personal rejection of his thinking and his philosophy.
Yeah.
I think he has about a month to get himself straightened out, or he's going to be a disaster. This is a question that I've always asked about him. Is he an ideologue or is he a pragmatist? And if he's not a pragmatist, he's not going to get reelected.
I'll give you, look, I went out there and tried to warn everybody before this election.
I know you did, absolutely.
And I took a lot of heat for it, Mr. Mayor. Something that you're very familiar with as mayor. You took a lot of heat as mayor. I don't see it in him. I don't see that he's got this pragmatic side. He's never shown it.
Bill Clinton was the governor of a conservative state for 10 or 12 years. He learned how to compromise with conservatives to get things done. He was a social activist in the Saul Alinsky school that says rich people are mean, businesses are terrible, take down the power structure, go after them. And then after that, it's been an unreal experience. After that, it was the legislature in Illinois getting anointed to the Senate. He's lived in a very isolated world. There's no question that he wasn't experienced enough to be president of the United States. He was either going to grow into it or not.
And so far he has not.
So far, he's been going the other direction.
All right, let me ask you this. I got to ask you, because it's the day after Election Day. I didn't notice your name on that list that I referred to, the DNC.
Good. That's good.
No. They've already got their dossier on you. They got a file on you. They ought to go back and watch your old press conferences when you were mayor, because they're classics. I mean, Chris Christie really is, he's beginning to step up and show those old Rudy Giuliani, lines.
This is a good friend. I was the first one to endorse him.
You were.
Remember, I got him on your show.
You brought him on the show.
Got him on your show.
Here's my question.
Man, he's terrific.
Because
tough guy.
A lot of people wanted you to run for governor of New York, senator of New York. You didn't take that opportunity. Would you get back in the race?
No.
Are you considering it?
We're going to see. We're going to see what's all out there. I love listening to Sarah Palin. I think it's disgusting that those Republicans said whatever they said to Politico. They should be ashamed of themselves.
And then they hide behind
I think it's
anonymity.
Disgusting. She has every right to run. If she can win the nomination, God bless her, she should get the nomination. We should let Republicans decide who the next nominee is going to be.
Good for you. Mr. Mayor, it's always good to see you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
Bye.
And